All right. Hello. Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. Hello. Hope you guys are doing well. We got a great. I'm super excited for for the stream today. We got some great people coming on. Um, Starting it off with some Penny Pyrope music because she's a great friend of the channel and does not do any copyright claims. So thank you, Petty. And then we've got a couple of interviews lined up with Vessels of Their Cult and Salem Flowers. Some really interesting music coming our way today. So hope you guys can stick around for that. I think it's gonna be a fun time. Here we start with some music though. Some nice chill Penny Pyrope beats and melodies that go over those beats. I've listened to Cat Allergy on stream. Had Penny on for an interview there, but I don't think I've listened to too much of her back catalog. So thought it'd be fun to start off the stream with that. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. What a nice chill way to start the stream. Like, it was just nice. It all sort of the chaos of getting the stream together and like pulling all the interview stuff, getting it all ready to go. It was nice just to have like a nice peaceful moment of music there. So yeah, let's keep it going. This is a full ass album from Penny with some long tracks in there too. So yeah, just sit back, relax. I'm just here to chill out to some music for now. But yeah, enjoy. Oh, what a vibe. I love that track. I love how one of my favorite electronic artists is Dan Deacon, and I love how with his music he has this sort of like frenetic energy with the when he like uses synths. They're like constantly going on arpeggios, never staying on a note for too long. And with Petty's music, sometimes when she gets to that like chaotic energy, it feels very Dan Deacon esque. With those like rising and falling arpeggios, it brings such a great energy to the music. It's a great vibe. Mm, this is so chill. Mm, mm, mm. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Mm. Mm. Oh my god. That was so sick. Mm. Got a 13-minute moment going on. I'm good. How are you, man? How's it going? This song is such a vibe. I love it. Oh. Uh... Mm. 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 God, that song is nuts. Oh, man, that song is so much fun. I love how it like swims between genres, and then it doesn't necessarily like transition to them super smoothly. It like sometimes it'll like the song will build up to this crazy peak and then just cut off. And it doesn't even feel like you're on a roller coaster. It feels like you're being like thrown off a cliff. But then every time it transitions to something else, it always sticks the landing in such a satisfying way. And oh my god, like at the end there with that guitar solo, like some of those like funky jazzy notes were like scratching itches that have been like lodged back there for so long. It's just like so like ooh yeah. I love how that feels. That it like just it's so good. For like such like at its core like simplistic music, like no lyrics, very like transitional. It just like some of the notes that she chooses to throw in there spice it up in just the perfect amount to keep it like just like so interesting, keeps me like enthralled the entire time. Man, good shit or good shit. Oops. Um, but yeah, Titan, I've got an hour before the vessels interview. So if you like have anything you want to put on, if you got any requests or anything, go ahead and send something in. We can chill with other stuff for a while, or we can keep listening to Penny. I have no preference. Mm. Mm. What a vibe. I love this album. Hey! How's it going? Happy Saturday. Just chilling, starting the stream with some Penny. I saw a post on Instagram about an interview. Did it go well? Look at me, I'm such an Instagram guy now. Let's fucking go. Hell yeah. Good shit. I love that one. I love how when it like bursts into all that energy. I was saying earlier, I get like sort of reminded of like Dan Deacon's music when I listened to Penny Pyrope, which she like burst into those like raging arpeggios of like synths. It's just such like a fun energy to the song. So yeah, it was like the perfect end to that track. I love it. But yeah, Sam, I'm so excited for the interview later. I can't wait to hear what you cooked up with that. Is it? Are you like calling it an album, or is it? It's like a 15 minute sort of like EP, right? Okay, that's fair. Nah, that sounds good to me. I'll call it an album. Hmm. Oof. You guys can feel free to put in any requests if you want in the forum. The My first interview is at 12:30, so it's just like playing some Penny beforehand. But if there's anything you want to play on stream, got some time now. Oh man, yeah, I haven't listened to the like this full album yet, but man, this one's got to be my favorite song on the album so far. I love the vibe of it. I love the drums in there. Reminds me a bit of the end of Reptilia by the Strokes, where they have that like chill section at the end with like the drums going crazy. It like hit that vibe, but like for like the majority of the song instead of just the one last bit. Um, but oh man, I love the synths in there too. Just such a great energy to it. Um, this is like exactly the vibe that I wanted to start the stream with. Hell yeah. God. Oh man, what an interlude. I love that one. The samples in the background, it gave it like a almost like a DJ Shadow vibe. Like I could almost see that being in like introducing, just like that really chill, but then those like repeated samples in the background gave it like a sort of like plunderphonics DJ aspect. Really cool. Really cool for a 1 minute 45 second interlude. Hey, Betty, how's it going? Yo, Petty, Gamefly is such a good track. How's it going, Cat Shape? Dude, this album's been such a vibe to start the stream on, honestly. I'm really excited for it. Oh, the bass in there is so good. This part is sick. Feels like we entered the speakeasy. I could see that. You said fall, right? Right, Penny? A potential Q4 release. Hello, Duke. How are you? I'm doing great. I'm doing so well. I'm just super jazzed for today's stream. Ah, great stuff. Oh my god, I love that one. Petty, the way you write these longer songs, it feels like a picturesque journey, like a hero's journey. If like you learned about in English class, I'm going way back, but like how like every section is like a little like part of the larger tale. By the end of it, I feel like I've gone on a whole journey listening to this song, and like I'm better coming out the other end because of it. Um, I feel like I just like watched Finding Nemo going through there. Oh my god, it was so much fun. Like all like twists and turns, they're like unexpected, but they always land so well. Ah, great stuff. Duke, yeah, we can do requests for the next like 20 minutes or so. Um, so if you stick a request in, another artist coming in at around 12:30 called Vessels of Their Cult, and so we're gonna be listening to their latest album, and yeah. So for now we're listening to some of Penny Pyrope stuff. But if you want to put a request in, we can definitely put that on. Yeah, yeah. I posted the agenda to my channel because I got like a whole like stream schedule for today, but and I it's kind of yeah, it's in the title too. It's 12:30. Vessels is coming on, and then Salem Flowers at 3. So we're talking through two whole ass albums today. I'm really excited. But then we'll be doing like regular requests after that. like I said, if you want to slide one in now, go ahead and we can play it ahead of the interviews. Ooh. That xylophone. Like instantly gives a song anime vibes. Or is that just me? Whoa! That's ambitious, but I love it. My god. Remember, Penny, perfect is the enemy of good. But I can't wait to hear what you come up with next. Oh, I believe in you too, Petty. Don't worry. Oh, now I'm excited. I love the vibe of that one. I love like the underwater feel of it with how like muddy everything is. Really? That's awesome. Ooh. Mm. The piano is unhinged and locked in at the same time. I really like the start of that track. The sort of lurching, slow moving feel that you get from like stoner metal or like drone, but it doesn't have like the weight that they always have on those guitars where they have like those that amp worship and just trying to do like waves and waves of sound. Instead, it had like that lighter sound. The piano was still cutting through, so it's like a really nice combination between like the sort of classic Penny Pyrope feel and that more like lurching, riffy, stoner esque sound. So yeah, it was super cool, and I'm so glad that you said that. That's, and I think you were saying that too, because there was a bit of a similar element with Cat Allergy on I think the closing track, and it felt like that sort of heaviness. So I'm really glad that yeah, that's like the direction that you're going with some of this stuff. I think it fits really well with your music. What's going on, PC36? I was gonna say I could hear You Don't Know You're Beautiful in this. Oh my god. Amazing. Uh, oh my god, that was so good. If that really did sample One Direction, it is lost in there. Oh my god, that was incredible. I'm glad we got through the two that you're looking forward to, catch it, because we do have vessels of their cult ready to go. So I'm gonna throw on a away screen, and I'll be back in like hopefully like 5-10 minutes with vessels, and we're gonna get this interview going. So Petty, thank you for providing the music for the start of the stream. But I'll be back in like 5-10 minutes. Be right back.
Awesome.
All right. Hello, everybody. We're back.
Woo!
Hey, I am here with Vessels of their cult,
Hello.
who is not John. I'm being told.
Yeah, man, this is a funny bit. So so I've just kind of made it my mission to engage in as many side projects as possible, just because I think it's funny and it's also just a good exercise in learning to listen to new styles of music and new people. Um, and my friends and I, one of my friends hit me up the other day and he was like, "Hey, you want to put together a hip hop track in like 2 hours?" And I was like, "You know what? I'll bite. Let's do it." And
Hell yeah.
then I ended up writing just the stupidest set of bars possible. And the last line of it is "Call me John Condiment the way I eat mayo." Um, and my friends found that to be just the funniest thing because it popped into my head and I was like, okay, it's kind of funny, but I don't think it's that funny, but I'll say it anyway. And then I put it in, they were like, dude, it's hysterical. And so for a while, my name has just been John Condiment on all of my socials. But no, you can either call me Aleph or Ryan. Either one works.
Gotcha. Okay,
Aleph is
sounds
kind
good.
of my online moniker that a lot of people know me as, and Ryan is my given birth name. So,
Gotcha.
but
All right,
either
we'll go
works.
with Aleph. That's cool.
Sweet.
All right. No, it's good to know because yeah, I've only known you as John Condiment from our Discord conversation.
Yeah.
So, but I was getting a little confused because I saw you on Instagram and I'm like, oh, this isn't John. What's
Yeah.
going on
No.
here? I feel like something fishy's going on. But so thanks for the backstory.
Yeah. I have
So,
one of my friends is just deeply offended every single time I change my username on Discord. He's like, "Stop changing it." I'm like, "No."
it's just another side project. Keep up. Um,
Exactly.
yeah. So this is Vessels like your main project then, or is
Yeah,
this?
this is I consider this to be my project primarily, and I'm hesitant to call it a band because it's whoever I can just yank in to work on it.
Gotcha.
And there's a few people that have been consistent between the two projects, but overall it's just been like, okay, who can I bother
Mm-hmm.
to come indulge me in my silly ideas while I just sit down and do stuff. And
Right.
there's been a few consistent people, but it's like we don't play live shows.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I'm playing live, it's typically just me.
Yeah.
So I'm hesitant to call it a band, so I just typically call it my project.
Right. It's like Tame Impala. It's the one guy, but they like he
Yeah,
brings other people in for the different albums and stuff. Okay. Cool. And
yeah,
then so this is your second proper release. I
yeah.
listened to Comic Sans. The covers on that
Mhm.
were a lot of fun. I gotta say.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm quite proud of those. The Party in the USA is kind of that song has always just kind of had a special place in my heart because I think that it's like, to my mind, I mean this in no way as a knock to the quality of the song, but I think it is the perfect bad pop song.
Yes.
Like
Yeah, I
I
see
I,
what
I
you're saying.
listen I listen to it and I'm like, everything about this is just, it just should be awful, but for some reason it's just not.
It hits.
Um
Yes.
and it hits, and like the only people that I know who hate it simply because they have some sort of traumatic backstory with it. Like, I know so few people who hate it just for the sake of hating it. Like, for the most part, people really like that song, and it's
Mm-hmm.
super inexplicable. I don't
Yes.
get it.
Yeah, I remember I was in high school when that came out, and I think it was like my
Mhm.
senior year. And so
Yeah,
like my senior class like made this whole thing like that was like how we like introduce ourselves at like the pep rally and stuff, and everyone was just like having a great time. Like you just gotta
yeah,
like play along with the bit. Like yeah,
yeah,
it's like campy and over the top, but like just go along with it. It's like it's a party, you know. Let's have a good
yeah.
time.
It's suspension of disbelief. It's like
Yes,
you sit down with it, and you're just like, it's like, I don't care that this is the worst song I've ever heard. It's the best song I've ever heard.
exactly. Yes. Oh man, that yeah the Weezer cover on there
Yeah,
was
I'm
great.
I'm happy you like that. I am a massive Weezer fan. Wall, who introduced me to your stuff, is also a massive Weezer fan, and that's a lot of what we talk about. Is like,
Hmm.
every now and again she'll just post to Twitter like something about Weezer, and I'm like, I just respond with Weezer's great, and that's just kind of
Oh,
the
Weezer's pretty
extent
cool.
of our
Yeah.
interaction. Kind of comes from a shared reverence
Hmm.
of the way that Rivers Cuomo writes a hook, and that has definitely bled over into the way that I write music. I love the way that Rivers Cuomo constructs a pop song, and I think that the fact that he has it boiled down to a science as much as he
Mm-hmm.
does is just
Right.
chef's kiss. It's
Absolutely.
perfect.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so with
I
that one, I remember, I don't remember why I sat down with that one specifically, because at the time that I started working on it, I don't think it was my favorite Weezer song, and I still don't think it's my favorite Weezer song. But I just, for some reason, I decided to figure out the riff on ukulele.
mm-hmm.
And then from there, I just kind of kept arranging, and I was like, wait, this is actually something kind of special when I transferred over to ukulele. And the
Uh-huh.
kind of the same thing happened for Skinny Love, where I just kind of sat with them and I'm like, no, there's something more to this song
Mm-hmm.
that I'm adding to it than I think that every cover should. I think that
Yeah,
doing a cover
absolutely.
simply for the sake of copying the original, I'm just gonna listen to the original, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And we're here to talk about different albums, so we can move on. But I do want to say
Yeah.
that the cover for Weezer, like the way that you recorded that, I was really intrigued by it. It felt like you were standing in like the back of a room listening to someone else play without like knowing that you were there. So I really liked the attention to detail there with like just like the
Yeah.
production quality.
So this is actually going to tie in quite nicely to Impact Font. So at the time that I recorded Comic Sans, I was living in this apartment with a couple guys,
Hmm.
and there was a laundry room in the basement. And got I had just recently heard what is now one of my favorite albums, like in my top 5 favorite albums ever, Madison by Sloppy Jane, and that record she recorded in a cave. And I don't
Ah.
have a cave near me. But what I do have is in the basement of our apartment complex, a
Hmm.
laundry room. And so I just went down and I was just like, I'm just going to record down here and see what happens. And it's
Hmm.
just, and like the whole thing is lo-fi. So like none of it like sounds technically good when you
Right.
consider like proper engineering technique, but
Uh-huh.
it gave it a unique flavor. And I feel like I was far enough into the record where it's just like, okay, I can do something really wild here, right?
Yes. Yeah,
I
it,
can
it
sit
felt
down and I
like
can record
properly
in a laundry room.
cavernous. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So you say it ties in. Like, did you use that technique with this album too, or will we get there? Or
No, because the album cover is that apartment.
oh, gotcha. Okay.
So
It's a
that is
great cover.
yeah. So that is where we recorded. I took that picture probably about 10-15 minutes before we sat down to record the first track. And it is just it's just the utter chaos of this picture is
Yes.
amazing because our lease was ending within the month.
Mm-hmm.
So my other roommates were getting ready to move into a separate space. They were moving into a house together, and I was ready to move back in with my parents so that I could like collect myself and all that good jazz. And so as a result, there's just this the living room was super empty because typically there would have been couches, but
Mm-hmm.
now we have this just empty space. You have the makeshift percussion on the right side of the cover. You
Yeah.
just have a laundry rack with clothes in the background. You have
Uh-huh.
the keyboard over on the left. It's just
Yeah.
absolute and utter chaos, but it's
I think that the meme format is really fitting too because this also matches like that meme of a male living space, like
so true.
no chairs, you just have your laptop set up on a bag,
Yeah,
like
it's
oh man,
hysterical.
yeah, yeah,
I didn't even think of that. Like I, because like the running, probably picked up on the theme that I really like fonts.
yeah.
I think that fonts are hysterical. I've started penning an AP that I'm gonna call Calibri. Um, I think that's how you pronounce that font. But
I have no
I
idea.
like naming things in series. Like I like the fact that Weezer has multiple color albums, right? I like the fact
Gotcha.
that
Yes.
I like it. I like it when people follow themes with the names of their projects. And so
Mm-hmm.
for me, when I sit down and I properly record a studio project where it's like I actually have studio space, it probably won't have a font name because that will be a separate entity. It'll still be under the
Mm-hmm.
vessel's name, but in my mind that's separate. But all of these sort of like makeshift single mic recording projects, I'm naming them after fonts in kind of progressively different ways. So
Awesome.
something that I've been thinking about is doing a Wingdings album of just like Beefheart inspired stuff,
Hell
just
yes. Yeah,
most
yeah,
off the wall
yeah.
stuff.
Awesome. No, yeah, I love that because yeah, you got the Comic Sans as your first album. Now you've
Mhm.
got Impact Font, and then yeah, you can move on. The world is your oyster. There's hundreds of those. Do a Jokerman
Yeah.
one. I could see that being
Oh my
like not Beefheart, but
Yeah.
Les Paul or Les Claypool with like just like some funky bass or something.
Yeah. Dude, I
Yeah,
love
so
Les
many
Claypool so
opportunities.
much.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
He is my inspiration for having as many side projects as I do.
Perfect.
He's
So
just
fitting.
always doing everything, and I
Yes,
love it so much.
absolutely. All right, well, yeah. So I'm super excited to hear what we got here. I think without further ado, we can check out the first track, "Interstellar Speed Camera Blues" off of Impact Font Bottom Text.
Heck yeah.
All right, let's get it started. Okay. good stuff, dude. Oh, I love that. I love
Thank you.
I love how sort of skeletal the song was by nature. There's a
Mhm.
lot of stuff going on there, but it was never like an overwhelming amount of like layers and noise. Everybody just sort of like every instrumentation like sort of took its time sharing the spotlight. Um,
Yeah.
Really, I love the structure of that.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's kind of due to the nature of the recording process, I suppose, because it was just three of us. We didn't have a ton of people. It was just three of us. Typically, two guitars and percussion was what we went with
Hmm.
for a majority of the tracks, but I guess not in a majority, but we'll get into that later. But for this one, I think that this was the first one we recorded. I didn't know how we were going to mesh as musicians. All I knew was that Jarrett and Josh are both just phenomenal players, and they both just absolutely killed this track when it came to the
Hmm.
synergy because Josh was playing lead guitar and he's just an amazing blues guitarist. Like he really knows his
Yes.
stuff. He knows his scales. He's
Hmm.
able to find his way around the momentum of everything.
Yeah, locked into that
And
rhythm so well.
yeah, and
Hmm.
then I remember that halfway point with the time shift. I remember I cut out, and I think Jarrett shot me a look just to indicate that he's like, okay, I'm changing time here. Like we
Hmm.
didn't plan any of this out. This was just like off the cuff. We're like, okay, we know we want to do a blues. Let's
Hmm.
just see what happens. And he just did that, and I cut out, and I was like, oh, this is a cool feel shift. And then at the end, it was just kind of like, okay, we got just kind of doing whatever.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed recording this one.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that transition was so great because it started in that sort of jazzy, sort of ethereal realm where you didn't really know where the song was going, and then once it locked into that blues, it really felt like everything had been building up to that somehow, even though it was so like totally unexpected. So it all comes together as like one full track because of that. So yeah, it was a great decision
Yeah,
to make, and then just like commit to the bit for the second half, and really go
yeah.
roll with it.
Yeah, and I'm really happy with how it came out. I think that overall these it was like it's like I listened to it and I'm just like I played the percussion for this one. And so I just listened back to it and I'm like, oh, I could have done that better. I could have done that better. But when I take a step back and I let my ego just kind of like just be over there for a moment, like I just shove my ego over and just like listen
Hmm.
to the track as a whole, I'm like, no, this is actually really cool. Like how
Yes.
everything came together.
Yeah.
And it's
No, I agree, and I think like yeah, I draw a lot of parallels between this project and like folk punk, like as a genre,
mhm,
and I think that's really built on its imperfections. It's
mhm,
got like that jazziness, but also like the relatability. With the
yes,
production quality and like maybe those like
yeah.
things that technically could have maybe done better. I think just like they bring me into the song more because of the relatability and like the imperfections of it.
Yeah, no, and I absolutely love that you mentioned folk punk. It's one of those things where it's one of those genres where despite how little of it I listen to, I find myself relating to its ethos so much.
Right.
Like the extent of my folk punk knowledge is AJJ, I'm pretty sure. Um,
That's fair.
and I absolutely love Knife Man. It's a phenomenal record, and I've listened to it. Actually, I've
Hmm.
only listened to it once. Wow. But it like that really stuck with me, and just kind of the ethos of like, okay, like we are leaning into the fact that we are just kind of doing whatever, and
Yes. Have that
where
like
we
real
lack.
strong DIY vibe. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And then it's just an amazing thing. I love DIY music as a whole. Another great example, and this is one of my direct inspirations and very much informed the way that I made both Comic Sans and this project was Michael Cera's album. I don't know if you've heard it, True That.
Mm-mm. No, I have not.
It is it's funny because I think that most people would expect Michael Cera to make like some sort of garagey punk thing akin to the music in Scott Pilgrim, but you
Hmm.
listen to that record and it's just this sort of indie folk jazz adjacent thing with a lot of
Okay.
instrumental tracks, and
Ooh.
it's totally unexpected. And I know it's one of those records that's kind of polarizing. A lot of people don't like it and a lot of people love it. I love it. I think
Hmm.
that it perfectly captures despite the fact that it was released in 2014, it very much feels like a COVID record to me, just kind of
Okay.
with how isolated it feels, but just the emphasis on these very messy yet obviously intentional instrumentals
Mm-hmm.
really really informed me, and I was just like I was listening through that a lot around the time that we made this, and I was just like, this thing is great, and so that kind of informed this.
Awesome. I'll have to check that out. I think when I think of Michael Cera music, I would think more like along the lines of like Juno maybe, or like Moldy Peaches, like that sort of like
Mhm.
indie folk side of
Yeah, yeah,
things.
yeah,
So yeah, awesome. I'll have to check that.
yeah.
Um,
It's a great record.
cool, cool.
Yeah,
All right, cool. So let's move on to the next one. I can't wait to hear what the rest of this album has in store because I know we got some long tracks in here too. I can't wait to hear
yeah.
those.
Oh boy.
But for now, we've got the designated driver's mocktail. Song names are on point, by the way. Man, what a vibe.
Yeah, vibes.
Oh my god, that was amazing. Did you put
Thank
like
you.
thought into when you were releasing this album? Because this is such like late spring, early summer music. Like I can't wait to listen to this like driving to the beach. You know, it's got that great
Yeah.
airy vibe to it.
Yeah, no, the thought that went into releasing this album was how soon can we get this out? This is another fun part of the story. Um, I am worse than Kanye when it comes to releasing my music on time.
Wow.
It, because okay, so with Comic Sans, I initially planned on releasing it, I believe, in March of 2022, and it didn't end up coming out until like when was it? It was like an extra 3 months that I needed to sit and work on it.
Gotcha.
Um, and then this was supposed to come out in October of 2022.
October 2022?
Yes,
Wow. Okay, you missed that deadline by a little bit.
but just by a little bit.
Yeah.
The because we recorded it in August of 2022,
Hmm.
and we figured, okay, we're gonna do minimal editing. It's just gonna be because we had 80 minutes of raw
Gotcha.
recorded footage
Uh-huh.
for this record. And we were like, okay, we're going to sit down and we're going to edit it down a bit and we're going to release it in October. And all three of us were on a call and we were like, yeah, no, we get this done by then.
Hmm.
And then one of the dudes working on the project just dipped off the face of the planet. And I was like, I understand, like, if you suddenly get busy, and
Hmm.
but it kind of sucked. And
Yeah.
then the other guy, Josh, he had a full-time job and also does stand-up comedy very, very seriously. Like, he's very much locked into that. And so as a result, actually sitting down and getting this whole thing edited took a long time because it's just people weren't available and I don't really have the
Right.
means to work on that. Like my computer's not the greatest. I don't
Hmm.
really know how to work. I don't know my way around an audio interface. I am purely a writer and musician. Like I
Yes.
just play.
Yeah.
But and then fortunately my good friend Malachi who did the mixing for Comic Sans, he I was like, "Hey, is there any chance you could help me out with this?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." And so he helped resequence some of the tracks, and this is one of the tracks that got heavily resequenced
Hmm.
because the original cut of this one was like 12, 13 minutes. And so we cut it down and we didn't even like just cut out a piece of it. It's like 4 or 5 separate pieces
Wow.
resequenced in a different order just so that it feels coherent from start to finish.
Huh.
And I think that it paid off. Like I think that
Yeah.
Mal got the edits super duper clean,
Oh
and so
yeah.
it's like
No, no.
and so it's like we
Uh-huh.
hit that Miles Davis bitches brew kind of thing, and it's just like
Yeah. No, I think I could not tell you where the cuts are. That's I mean, I'm not a music editor. I'm not even a musician, but like to my ears, it felt like one very live, very improv piece, but like it all flows together so well. It just comes off super natural. So yeah, the mixing and editing is perfect. If you're telling me that that's four different parts, it's hard to believe with how well it all came together. So props to the editing team on that one.
yeah. Dude, I don't know. Like my music would not be possible without my friend Malachi. He is the true unsung hero of the Vessels of Their Cult project. He's done so much to make sure that this stuff sounds good, and
Awesome.
he just kind of does it for free. Like I'm like, hey yo,
Wow.
bro, you might help me out with this. And he's like, yeah, sure. And he just does it, and I'm
It's a
like,
good friend to have. Oh yeah.
not for real.
Yeah.
He actually, fun fact about this guy, he and I had a podcast that we ran for a while, called Dancing for Architecture, where we would just sit down and we would talk through entire albums from start to
Nice.
finish. Like we would go away and we would listen through them and we
Hmm.
get together. And so that was where a lot of our bond came from, is just from kind of sitting and talking through a bunch of stuff that we had heard. And then eventually it was like, okay, like let's just make stuff together. And so the
Yeah.
only problem is he lives like 4 hours away from me, so it's like for us to sit down and work together, I have to like make a massive road trip to go up to him.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah, yeah, it's rough. But hey, I mean, it's a good thing of doing like interviews like this. We can give Malachi their flowers because
yeah,
it sounds like they put in the work. So,
yeah,
great job.
he does some good stuff, and he's a great musician in his own right. Killer keyboard player. Like, oh my
Ooh,
gosh, like
nice.
he's cracked out of his mind. But yeah, no, this track is cool. I'm very excited for the next one because these first two tracks, they're cool, but they're
Mm.
kind of tame in comparison to what
Oh,
comes next. I'm very excited for you to hear Frog. You didn't listen to the singles beforehand, did
I
you?
did not. I listened to some of to Comic
Oh,
Sans, but I didn't listen to any of this yet. So yeah, this is all new. And
yeah,
yeah,
you are in for a treat with this
all
next
right,
one.
excellent. I can't wait. So yeah, us get it started. But yeah, for these first two tracks, I love the vibe of it.
Let's
So
go.
yeah, just great stuff so far. But yeah, let's see how it changes up with Frog. Oh my god. That was so much fun.
That might be my favorite track on the record. That one was the one that I probably had the most fun recording out of all of them. I was on keys for this one,
Was
so
it you that shouted halfway through?
this was at the time when I was listening to. This was right after I got really into King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, so that's where
Okay.
that came from.
Ah, yeah, I could see that. Oh man, just like the non-stop groove. Oh my god, you guys like locked into a rhythm and just stuck with it the whole time. Just so
Yeah,
good. Oh man.
thank you.
Um,
Yeah, this one's one of my favorites. I think that it is, to me, it is kind of the essence of the whole project in my mind,
mhm.
because it's like you can feel us, you can hear us just trying to feel each other out for like
Yes.
the first couple minutes of it, and it's like we settled on that groove beforehand. I think that we sat down and we played through it like that groove for like a minute beforehand, just to make sure that we were like, okay, this is the harmonic language we're working with. We're established here.
Mhm.
But then it was just kind of us feeling each other out. Josh had
Yes.
that drum beat that he was like, yeah, I just ripped this off from Can, and I'm like, that's cool.
Hell
um,
yeah. Dude, why not? Like, yeah, I mean, I'm totally a fan of doing stuff like that and then seeing what other directions you can go with that, like, backbone, with that
yeah.
rhythm, with that groove. Because,
Mhm.
I don't think this ended up sounding like a canned song, but, grabbing it from that inspiration and just, like,
Yeah.
seeing where it could go is great.
Yeah, I'm happy with it, and I think that this one is, aside from exactly one spot, this one is totally unedited.
Okay,
Um,
wow.
we we trailed it off at the end. I think there was like 3 minutes of nonsense at the end that were just kind of like, it was just like such a sharp tonal shift in comparison to everything else going on, that we were like, yeah, this doesn't really need to be here. So we cut off like 3 minutes at the end,
Mm-hmm.
and the bit where the organ came in, we cut out like 2 measures of dead air time that was in there, because Josh was just kind of kept going, and I was figuring out what I wanted to do after there. But I was like, no, like it needs to, that the chaos beforehand needs to crescendo into something. So it was
Right.
like we cut out 2 measures,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that that drop is just the most satisfying thing ever.
Yes. Oh, wait. When the organs come in, it's so fitting. And like I love this track in particular. Like you sort of get used to the band. I think this is what you were saying earlier. Like you get used to the sound and the vibe with the first two tracks, but then
Mm-hmm.
with Frog, like you introduce all of these new instruments. We got pianos and synths and just a bunch of crazy stuff thrown in there. But it still maintains that like skeletal aspect that like sort of is still like a low key sort of like it never becomes overwhelming or like a wall of noise, but it like builds up and breaks itself back down over the 10-minute runtime with all of these different like sound palettes going on. So like really like stays interesting through the whole piece.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. I also want to kind of point out the sort of the general harmonic language of it is really, really interesting, because my friend Jarrett was on the synth. And so we
Mm-hmm.
had two instruments that were working sort of harmonically, and then we had the rhythm backbone with what
Yep.
Josh was doing on the drums. And what really, really makes this track super interesting to me is he laid out this really, really simple groove, um, that basically just made it super easy to play whole tone scales over. So that was most of what I was doing for the first bit, was just random stuff over whole tone scales. But then there were bits where he very much pulled back what he was doing harmonically, and he was just doing weird sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And at those points, I was able to just kind of come in and make a lot more creative decisions while still kind of staying relatively within the structure. I was able to just like hit weirder harmonic things because it was out of the way. And so like because of the skeletal nature of it,
Mm-hmm.
we were able to push it in different directions. And even though we had not discussed much
Yes.
beforehand, I was able to take the reins, and I was not going in a direction that was going to heavily clash with what he was doing. And then he would just come back in,
Mm-hmm.
and then I get to the part with the piano mashing, and like that comes from listening to too much Black MIDI. I was listening to so much Black MIDI at that time, and that bit of piano on John L, where he's just mashing the
Yes,
keys.
I loved that part. Yeah, it fits so well. Yeah, no, yeah, it was great.
It that did so much psychic damage to me the first time I've heard it. I cannot think about improvising the same way after hearing stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
It's like it's like my dad set me up so well. He introduced me to Dave Brubeck and all of that great jazz, and like I
Mm-hmm.
absolutely love Dave Brubeck, and the way that I solo is very much influenced by him. But then I just like find stuff like Black Midi, and I'm like, yes, chaos. I think it'll go with
Today I
chaos.
choose violence. Yes.
I choose violence.
Yeah.
And so
Uh,
it's like stuff like that. It's like I'm like that's where me and my dad's musical kind of ideals
uh,
really branch off
yeah.
because he's all about the melody. He's all about good
Yes.
harmony decisions. He's all about keeping it
Uh-huh.
like he's fine with a few wild decisions, but overall he
Right.
wants it to like fit. And then for me, it's like nah, I want this to be
Yes.
I normal melodies don't scratch and screwing around with that, and I have this just insane reverb pedal, and I have my big muff after it
Mm-hmm.
so that basically if I hit my big muffle, I have the insane reverb thing going. I'm just getting these like pulsating walls of noise,
Amazing.
and I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. And my dad's like, what are you trying to do
Yeah.
with this?
What is this noise? Yeah.
I'm like, it's
uh,
peak. You don't understand.
that's great. All right, cool. But I think you made a good point. Like with the skeletal structure, like you're able to pivot and change like the sound of the song. And I definitely got that impression from this. It had that sort of light feeling. It was very like you're sort of floating like a butterfly and stinging like a bee here. You're able to pivot and like change the mood and the atmosphere of the song with like somebody else bringing in like a new like radical chord or something. And I'm sorry, I don't know music theory, but like just able to totally change the feel on a dime
Yeah.
kind of.
It's great, man, and it's really cool. I love the way that this track came out, and it's like I gotta shout out another band who I did not know of at the time of this recording, but I told myself that I'd shout them out at some point. This avant garde band, Blasphemous Basement. Their output is nuts. They've put out some like I think they've put out like a total of 50 projects over the past 2 years.
Dang, they're going the Buckethead route. Okay.
No, for real, it's nuts. And I met them through Discord,
Hmm.
and I at some point the worms in my brain took over and told me that I needed to listen to and rank all of their music. And this was back when they only had like 20 albums, like 20 to
So it
30.
was manageable.
And
Yeah.
so it was manageable, and so I got into that, but they're very very heavily on that improvised kind of
Hmm.
field as well. So it was like I was talking with a couple of the members from that band, and I was like, yeah, this is like basically like a Blasphemous Basement record, but a little bit more harmonically adept, because a
Gotcha.
lot of their stuff is very much more sonic aesthetic based
Cool.
stuff.
Okay. Yeah,
And so
yeah.
they've got because their stuff tends to be guitar, drums, and then some third thing. It's always guitar and drums, and then it's like either
Yes.
like horns or
Hmm.
whatever. But it is their stuff is very much chaotic, and it's very 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 fun to listen to.
Cool.
I will probably point them your way and get them on here at some point
Yeah,
because
I
I
was
think
about
that
to
I think
say
you'd have a
I
you
would. They're
you get
they're more
a
than
you get a
welcome. Yeah.
you get a kick out of them. They're really funny. I think
Excellent.
it's funny because their music taste of each individual member very much doesn't match the music that they make.
Hmm. That's
Like
amazing. Okay. Yeah. No. Got it. If they're still putting out stuff at this clip, we could definitely try to get them on here for one of those albums, and they can talk through it. That
yeah,
sounds
I
amazing.
think they're almost finished with one of their more planned projects. Like they've been working on like writing more traditional songs and like putting together these studio projects. They put out like an amazing noise rock record last year that I really loved, but
Ooh.
I think they said that they're almost done with their kind of like the follow up to that one. So
Awesome.
I'll bug them
All
because I think
right.
that getting
Yeah,
them on
I'll
here for
reach out
that
too
would
for
be really
sure.
interesting.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so Frog definitely lived up to the hype for me. That was a great track. So let's move on to designated driving. I think
Yes,
it's
sir.
definitely the second of songs that look like they are talking about drinking and driving, but or
Yes.
not drinking, specifically
Not
not
drinking
drinking and
and
driving.
driving.
Yes.
Don't drink and drive.
Yeah. But ways to avoid drinking and driving, I'll say.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. All right. On to designated driving. That was great. The
Nice little interlude.
yes,
Just
yeah, a good palate cleanser.
yeah, it's really nice because that was actually taken from like the last 2-3 minutes of Designated Driver's mocktail. Those were both recorded in the same chunk. Like we
Gotcha.
sat down and recorded those together, but the feel was different enough that I was like, we should just take this, slow it down a little bit, throw a couple effects on it, and just like leave it as an interlude, just kind of to be like a little bit of a callback to the earlier track.
Nice. Yeah, but very effective. I mean, it was like a perfect like I said palate cleanser. Just nice like float from between one song to another. I will say like the guitars at least at the start of the track were like a hair away from being like Bizarro World SpongeBob background music kind of like they had that like same vibe but like it was like darker and like more gritty, I
Evil
guess.
SpongeBob.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. And it's like it kind of it kind of pulls the same feeling that like that's kind of the feeling that I wanted out of this, right? Where it's
Right.
like I like to imagine that the first track is like you're at a party, right? And you have the one dude who's designated driver and he's just drinking and he's kind of enjoying everybody watching everybody have a good time.
Mhm.
Um and then you get a couple people who've had a little bit too much to drink. And I just imagine them in the back of the car spewing just the most insane nonsense. And he's just trying to drive
Uh-huh.
and like that's always the mental picture that I've had for this is it's just like he's just trying to drive these guys home and they're
Yes.
just like on some total nonsense and they're just like why is the car moving?
Yeah. And this is like the guitar music that's like playing in his head as they're like
Yeah,
talking in the back seat, like spewing nonsense, and he's just like
yeah,
vibing with like yeah.
yeah.
That's
He's
hilarious.
just chilling.
Yes, I love that. Uh yeah, no, great little interlude there. Now we're on to one that I was looking forward to just based on the track title, Mumford and His Sons.
Mm. This is a
Which,
fun one.
yeah, I think it was fitting based on like some of the stuff that I saw in Comic Sans, where it's like it feels like you sort of bring these like referential and other outside influences into your music. I
Hmm.
don't know if that's gonna be the case here, but like that's like sort of the feel that I got from it just off of the name alone.
Yeah, and I will elaborate more on that because I have a lot of thoughts on that. But yeah, no,
Excellent.
let's go ahead and listen to
All
this.
right, let's do it. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, thank you for that. that was that was just
Yeah.
what a beautiful introspective track. It was like just 11 and a half minutes of peace.
Yeah, it's one of the ones. So this is actually the longest one uncut.
Hmm.
I think that this was like, I think we went on for like 25 minutes,
Wow.
just messing around with this chord progression.
Hmm.
It was it was certainly the one that needed the most work out of all of the tracks when it came to rearranging. Josh was kind enough to sit down and mull over the whole thing and really, really get it into a structure that made sense.
Hmm.
And so as a result, you get 11 minutes of
Bliss.
just wonderfully arranged stuff where it's just I'm
Yes.
really really happy with how this one came out because it was kind of the one that I was the most concerned about because if you notice that like that thumping kind of bass drum thing
Hmm.
that was on the synthesizer. My friend set it
Oh.
up and he was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just get this going and then we'll just play along with this. And the wonderful thing about metronomes is that they stick to their tempo regardless of what's going on around them. And that's also the terrible thing about metronomes.
Yeah.
And
They don't get
so
jazz. Yeah.
they don't get jazz. So there was a lot of stuff on this track where we were just horribly out of time and it was just because we were pushing and pulling the tempo and like
Hmm.
because like that's what you want to do. You want to
Yeah.
really get into it and feel it. But Josh was able to find enough material to really really just get the piece to feel alive
Gotcha.
and still stick with that tempo so it never feels like we're off the beaten path. And
Hmm.
he just did a great job with that.
Definitely. I will say, so at the start of the song, for the first like two thirds, it had that sort of repeating guitar line, the
Hmm.
descending notes.
Yeah.
It reminded me so much of, I'm almost positive, a song by Bread. It has like this like really simple line, and it would repeat it, and it like so this song has like I feel like it has like an extra personal connection with me because I heard that song when I was like driving home on the radio one time and I became
Mhm.
obsessed with it. Now I can't even remember what it is anymore, but just hearing that line again, it was like so nostalgic for me to hearing that like first time I heard it on the radio, and then like it morphs into just this beautiful like slice of life track. It felt like I was like standing on a porch listening to like wind chimes by the end of it with those like twinkly like harmonics on the guitars.
Yeah.
Really, just this is a gorgeous track. Really well done on this one.
I'm so happy you enjoyed it. It's funny that you mentioned that chord progression because when he started playing it, I started thinking of I believe it's For No One by the Beatles.
Okay.
That's the chord progression that I hear. And then I talked with him as he was putting it together, and he was like, yeah, to think that we just got this whole 25-minute monster out of me
Right.
trying to replicate this John Fahey chord progression. And I'm like, the chord progression's everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's simple. And I'm sure it's been used hundreds, thousands of times
Oh,
maybe.
yeah.
But like yeah, the direction that you took with it and just like really driving home that peaceful atmosphere. Like a really gorgeous train change up from the rest of the album too, which sort of had that more like jammy feel. This one felt like so much more introspective and
Yeah.
patient. So yeah, great change of pace
Yeah.
here.
Thank you. Yeah, no, and it's really really interesting because I think that this was probably the most harmonically demanding
Hmm.
of all of the tracks because we had three instruments that were all competing for harmonic control the whole time.
Hmm.
Because on the other tracks, it was at most two,
Right.
right? It would be like two guitars or
Hmm.
synth and piano or whatever. But this we had piano, ukulele, and guitar, and we all had to make sure that we were all on the same page with each other. And I remember halfway through it, I didn't like what I was playing on the ukulele, and Jared didn't like what he was playing on the piano, and so we just switched instruments. And so it's really really funny because you can, at least to my ear, I can hear the stylistic difference from when I was playing the
The
ukulele
actual
and when Jared
change.
was playing it.
Man, that's
And it's just like
amazing.
it's just like those small little things that I'm gonna pick up, and people
Uh-huh.
who have played with me for years will probably pick up on. But like the average listener will just like be like, I don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's
A
just
little
it's just a
change. Yeah,
ukulele.
yeah.
What are you talking
That's
about? So,
great.
but
Um, oh,
it's lovely.
that reminds me. Another band that this reminded me of when I was hearing it was the Penguin Cafe Orchestra. I got like a real vibe of that, which is I don't know if you heard, but like they
I've heard
would
of them, I think.
okay, like very like mellow again, like that sort of patient, heartfelt, very like emotionally deep music, I guess. But they would
Yeah.
also change instruments mid song, like if it called for it. So they
Yeah.
have a few songs where you can even like I think hear the footsteps of them like walking around the room and changing instruments. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's beautiful.
yeah. I definitely recommend checking them out. I feel like you might like some of their stuff. Um,
Yeah, no, I love stuff like that. I think that playing one instrument is lame. I think that if you get to a certain point in your musical career and you only play one instrument, you're just kind of being lazy. Um,
okay.
and and I think that most people don't get to that point. Like I think that you for the most part it's like okay, like you just kind of play your instrument for fun.
hmm
You play it a couple hours a week is all. And like for those people it's fine. You can stick to your one
Right.
instrument. I understand not having the bandwidth for multiple, but for me, I'm like why would I restrict myself to one instrument when there's so much beautiful stuff to explore with everything else? And
hmm
so I think that this is like a perfect example because it's like I didn't like what I was doing. And I don't think Jarrett liked what he was doing either. And so we were just like, okay, let's switch. And I think that a lot of that really brightened up the track and it really
Gotcha.
allowed us both to do something that we were far better at. And
No,
not that
that's
I
so
think that what we
cool.
were playing before was bad, but
Uh-huh. But like
it
to
was
have
just
the
like a
option to do
wonderful
that, yes,
yeah, it's like
makes a big
you have the
difference.
option to do that if you play
hmm
multiple instruments. And
Right.
if you don't, you're just kind of screwed if you don't like what you're playing.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying. Definitely. Um, no, I can't wait to hear it again and like see if I can pick out where the things changed up and see if that
Yeah.
like played into like the overall like feel of the song that like maybe you don't pick up on first listen. Um,
Yeah.
and no, I don't know if you're watching the chat either. You did have
I'm
like your
not.
fan club in here earlier. Definitely some people that your fans stopped by. So, but
Let's
also
go.
a good friend of the channel, Kid, is here, and they said, "Have you heard Structures Without Rooms by Adam Borsage?"
I have not. I need to listen to that. If I'm getting a recommendation from someone in chat listening to my music, I need to listen to it.
They said they gave
Fire it
the
over in the Discord. I will look at it.
all right, sounds good. Yeah, so they gave the vibe of the album. I mean, as a compliment, they said that, but yeah, no. So I think just like the airy lightness of it. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, awesome.
And now for the big kahuna,
Yes,
the
yeah,
grand finale. Oh man, this is if Frog is not my favorite, this is my favorite. It is
gotcha.
I am so happy with how it came out, and I'm not telling you anything about this track because I want you to sit and be surprised by it.
Perfect. I'm so down for that. I do. I feel like I've blinked and we're already at the closing track. This thing is just has flown by on like a cloud. So much of this has just been such a great vibe. So I can't believe that. It's just every track has had its own feel, its own story to tell. But it's gone by so well. So yeah, very excited for the closer here. Let's check out
All right.
Mars and all our friends that live there. I can't believe you got a real Martian to come and do vocals.
I know, it's absolutely insane. He just stopped by while we were recording. It was awesome.
Wow, what an ending. Oh man, that one was a journey. Um,
It was.
it felt
That's
more so than the other tracks. It felt like untethered and like not attached to like earthly rhythms and structures. You know, it felt like unbound in a good way. Like I really
yeah.
liked how it like all sort of floated in orbit, but then came together at times.
Yeah. No, this one was interesting. I think that this was the second to last one we recorded. We recorded Mumford and His Sons was the last one we recorded. But I remember we started this one out and like the first I think like the first 5 minutes of it we cut off
Hmm.
because it just didn't have much to do with everything else. But I was like we got to get at least one free improvisation track on here because
Yes.
why not?
Uh,
And I think at the time that I had made this, I had recently listened to In the Court of the Crimson King for the first time and
Okay.
heard Moonchild, and my mind was not blown by that track. I want to make this incredibly clear. I don't really like Moonchild as a track.
Okay.
But here's the thing. I love the idea of free improv, but my problem with it is that so often it just goes nowhere, right? Like Moonchild just kind of they have their like melodic ideas and their chord progressions and their standard songs, and then they go into free improv, and it's cool free improv. Like I don't have an issue with it,
Hmm.
but then it just kind of exists and goes towards nothing, and the track just kind of ends. Like they could have chosen to end the track at like any number of spots. Like it could have been, and they also could have just kept playing for another
Hmm.
30 minutes,
Right.
and it wouldn't really change my impression of the track all that much, I don't think. Um, which is kind of tends to be my issue with free improv. It just kind of feels super aimless. And I'm saying this after we get finished with a record that I do feel like is pretty aimless. Like, I think to its strength, it's more of I think for a lot of this project, it's more of a place than a journey. But I think that this track in specific, I really like it because we take free improv and then it actually goes somewhere.
Yes.
Like Jarrett had his like little piano riff thing that he was doing towards the end,
Hmm.
and then I was just like, okay, we're gonna just drive with this, and it I hear it and I'm taken on a journey, and the free improv in the middle doesn't feel wasted because it was like giving us space between that starting point and that ending point.
Right. No, I definitely. So, like the impression that I got with this track was definitely Journey esque. It felt like you you guys as musicians and the instrumentations in here were sort of searching for something. It felt like it was untethered and boundless, but also like with an end goal of going somewhere. And
Mm-hmm.
by the maybe like the 12-minute mark, or there's a part where like the rhythm really starts picking up and everybody starts playing together, and it feels like you all have like broken out of like the hemisphere, and you're out in like outer space now and like really accelerating. So I definitely got that impression as well from the music, that it had a start and a finish point, which, yeah, to your
Mm-hmm.
point, is refreshing with that style of sort of improvisation.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like I will probably catch a lot of flack for saying that I don't think that Moonchild is all that great of a track.
We're all
And
friends here. It's all
granted,
right.
like I mean, like it's like I don't know how much that track specifically did to move forward the idea of free improvisation. I know that King Crimson was incredibly revolutionary in what they did, and I
Hmm.
have massive respect for them as a band. But it's like I feel able to have my gripes with that. And in my opinion, Jacob Collier said it best when he said, regardless of what decision you make, you should always be trying to get back home.
Okay.
And I know that a lot of people don't like Jacob Collier's music, and it's understandable. His stuff is very busy ADHD, just kind of like
Very heady.
he does
Yes.
kind of tend to be a little aimless, but his best music always finds its way back home. I
Hmm.
think to his point, it's like this stuff where I vibe with his music the most is it's like he's like, okay, we're starting here, and then we're going on this journey, and then it'll be like this big, just absolutely lush key change, and then you end up back home at that root chord, and I'm like, that's what I'm here for. And
Right.
so I've kind of taken that philosophy,
Hmm.
or was it Will? It might have been Will Toledo who said, I don't know. Somebody
Same
said it's
guy.
the goal to
Same.
always get
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
home.
Same difference.
Maybe everybody said it. Maybe nobody said
Yeah.
it. Maybe I'm just making all of this up.
Yeah.
But that idea of getting home
Hmm.
and just doing whatever. Like I was just walking around the apartment because to the right of the album cover is the kitchen space for the apartment that I was living in at the time.
Gotcha.
And I was just opening and closing cabinets.
Hmm.
I was just doing whatever. I was like, okay, like I'm just gonna do whatever and we're gonna see how it
Yeah.
sounds.
Yeah. But so what I will say about like the King Crimson, yeah, I think it's fair to have critiques if you can put your finger on it and be like, I'm going to try to do it my way and see if what comes out on the other end is better. You know what I mean? Like
Uh,
you took something that you thought was maybe something that could have been done differently or better, and sort of ran that through the input output process, and now we see like what the other side of that looks like. So I mean that's like what music is, right? That's like,
Mhm.
you're experimenting and seeing if this is like a new, better iteration of what came before. So no, I can't imagine anybody would give you flack for when you're the one that's actually out here doing it. It's totally different than being like,
Yeah.
I don't like it. It's bad.
Yeah, and one of my very good friends, this dude that I know from over in the UK, um, he talks about this a lot, and one of his great kind of brain blasts about music is that he realized that he takes far more inspiration from music that he kind of likes but thinks could be better than he does
Right.
take inspiration from stuff that he absolutely loves and wouldn't change a thing about.
Yes, absolutely. If it's something that you think is perfect, when you're trying to make that music, you're at best just going to emulate it, right? You're not going
Yeah,
to
exactly.
you're not going to push it forward. So yeah, I totally get that perspective. I think that's really wise.
Yeah, and so this is very much a case of that. And a lot of the stuff that I pulled from for this record in my playing is stuff that I like a good amount, but I wanted to either recontextualize it or take it in a different direction. And I think that this track specifically is like, I think about Moonchild by King Crimson, and I almost called the King Crimson. I almost called them King Crimson and the Limson Wimson.
That'd be a good band
I've got
name.
a bad habit of butchering band names on purpose, so then when I try to say them unironically, I just stumble over my words and
Uh-huh.
end up back at my goofy name that I
You,
was
you got
talking
that
about.
brain rot. Yeah, it's gone.
It's awful. The other really terrible one is I always call her Olivia Ninjago. I never
Oh
call her Olivia
no.
Rodrigo.
Oh no. Olivia Ninjago's too good.
It's too good. And it's like the thing is that everybody always knows who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I picked up. I was like, I know what you're talking about, but God, that it fits too well. Oh
Yeah.
man. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
man. That's the record. It
Yeah.
was a lot of fun. It was way too long in the making. As I said, it was supposed to be out in October of 2022. Yet here we are in June of 2024,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's
So we'll
been
see you
out
back on the
for a couple
channel in
months.
what, 2 years when you finish the next one, or
Oh gosh, hopefully it goes faster this time. I'm working on putting an EP together right now, which I'm really excited about. I because Comic Sans was kind of just I'm just gonna sit down, make
hmm.
stuff, see what happens, kind of a little bit of a commentary and a demonstration of my day-to-day interactions with music. Like some stuff is just like goofing around with friends. Some stuff is just me goofing around on my instrument by myself. Some stuff's covers, some stuff I wrote. And this felt like a very focused project of like, okay, I took that improv element of that first
Hmm.
record and I really honed in on it. And so what I want to do with the next project is really hone in on the songwriting aspect of it. And
Okay.
I've already got two songs that I'm pretty happy with how they sound, so I just need to like fine tune them and then finish a couple more, and then I'll have an EP and it'll be lovely.
Excellent. I can't wait to hear that. I can't because yeah. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Comic Sans is probably going to like land in the middle of those two projects. Then this one's going to be
Yeah,
the completely limitless, with some sort of direction, but very improv. And then this new EP is going to be very structured and
yeah,
pre-written. Awesome.
definitely. And it's also going to be a lot more folky. Because like I know you called this a psych folk project, and I'm like, do I correct him? It's like, there's a track that is
I'm
folk,
like, yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
But
I
then it was
like,
like there's just so much other stuff on here.
right,
I was like,
yeah.
nah, I'm not gonna correct him.
No, now that with hindsight, I would definitely change the description. But that's like the challenge and the risk with trying to describe this stuff without ever hearing it. Like just going off past projects and trying to figure out what
Yeah,
the hell like barn smoker core even means. Like
that's another funny story. So you have heard "Smoking Behind the Barn," the blues classic.
I have not.
That's off of Comic Sans.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, I probably
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
I just wasn't looking at my phone when I listened.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, that one was. If for some reason, like I sat down to record that, my ukulele, I tuned one of the strings so that it was purposefully out of tune,
Mm-hmm.
and then I sat down and I just recorded this insane blues track, and for some reason, people just really gravitated towards it. Like it just became a bit that happened, and then I was like, I'm not gonna call my fan base cultists because that's mad cringe. So I was like, I'm gonna call them barn smokers because everybody gravitated to this track "Smoking Behind the Barn," and
Amazing.
so that's where that came from. And then like my friend who was helping me put together the site on Bandcamp, helping me put together the page, he was like, he was like a revolutionary work of Barnsmoker core, and I'm like, that's hilarious. Leave that up there.
Yes.
But it's just fun, you know. Like I don't ever want to feel tied down to one specific style of music. I want to be able to sit down and listen to so many different artists. I want to be able to sit in and listen with other musicians that I know and learn from them. And I just want to just explore everything, because while rock, what I grew up listening to, is great and I love it, and there's so much for me to write there, I also think that it would be super duper disingenuous for me as a person, with all of the inspirations that I pull from, to just stick to writing that.
Right.
I want to go out and do so much other stuff. So it's like it kind of like it kind of screws me over if I find people who are like, yeah, no, I love the folk stuff, and I'm like, that's
yeah,
cool.
like one
I'm
or
gonna
two
be done
songs
with
like
that in,
that,
like, 2
but
projects.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, I was just thinking about that. Like, now that we're through the album, just like some of the songs that were early on in it, I'm like, wow, I can't believe that was the same album as this. Like, yeah, there was that
Yeah.
blues section in like the first track, right? Because the
Yeah. The
Interstellar
first track
Speed
is the
Camera
blues, yeah.
Blues. Yeah. That didn't really pop up again for the rest of the album. Like, you definitely had like this real journey between all these different genres and sort of micro genres, fitting them into these songs, and it all fit together really well. So yeah, this was an absolute joy to listen to. So yeah,
I'm so
congrats on
happy
this
you
one.
enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, anytime. And I only say
Yeah.
that because I know it's going to be 2 years before your next one. No, I'm joking.
I cannot wait for you to just get messages from Blasphemous Basement every single time they release an
Oh
album. Not
yeah,
these
I
guys
know,
again.
right? I'll have to have them on daily.
Oh gosh, man.
All right, good stuff.
Fortunately for you, they're slowing down. But
Yeah. I got the tail end of their creative output. Sounds
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
All right, yeah. So I can't wait to have them on. I can't wait to have you back. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, thank you
yeah,
for having me.
absolutely. So here, I'll put the away screen. I'll be back in a few minutes, guys, and then come back a little bit later. We've got Salem Flowers on with their new experimental jazz record. So I feel like we're just in for some good music today. I'm so like stoked for this stream.
Oh yeah.
All right,
Frick
guys.
yeah.
All right, I'll see you in a little bit. Hello, hello. How's it going? I hope it's not like you're stressed about the stream or anything. Okay, cool. Just other stuff going on. All right. Well, sorry to hear that. Hope we can relax and just listen to some good music for a while and take your mind off things. Cool. So do you want to? Are you going to go on camera or do you just want to do voice? I can't remember if I asked. Sure. Ooh, nice. I like the ears. Yeah, let me get the OBS set up. This one. Oh, perfect. We're good to go. I set it up before I started the stream, and it's actually all working properly for once. So that's exciting. Excellent. So are you ready to go? I know we said three, but if you're good to go now, we can jump in. All right, cool. Let me just go. I got to go to the bathroom and refill my water, but give me like 2 minutes, and then We'll get this started. Excellent. All right. I'll be right back. Hello. All right.
Hey,
We're back. We did
we
a
are.
scene change, and now we've got Salem Flowers here with their latest and greatest. Ouya? Is that the
Yes.
pronunciation? Okay.
Yeah.
An experimental jazz album. This came out last week on the 26th.
Yeah. I believe so.
Nice. Yeah. No. No. Excited for this one. So, tell me a little bit about yourself. How long you been working on music?
I started working on music as far back back in like high school, which is around like 2019, 2018. It was around that time frame. And I originally got into music because I had two options going into high school. I could either take ROTC or I could take the guitar class. And I was like a little
Wow.
rebellious kid.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, there's no way I'm going in ROTC. And I already had like a old guitar laying around, so I was like, you know what, I might as well try to figure this thing out. I had
Amazing.
a
Amazing that those are the two options, but yeah,
yeah.
glad you
And I
chose
was
this one.
already listening to a lot of classic rock because that's what my parents brought me up on.
Hmm. Nice, awesome. So is this your first album, or have you put out other music under the Salem Flowers name?
Oh no, this would be my second album.
Second, awesome, cool. Well, we can give it a shot. I'm really excited to hear what you got cooked up here. So let's kick it off. We got "Fix Your Face" album version as the first song on the track, or the first song on the album.
Sofas,
Oop.
recliners,
Oh,
love
crap.
seats,
I got
everything
ads
is
on,
better in leather.
on
Discover the new
SoundCloud.
leather collection at Ashley, where bold meets durable.
Oh,
And
God, I can't even
wait
stop
a
it.
minute, who's been finger painting on the couch again?
Well, this is
That's
part of the
okay.
album
Leather is
experience,
easy to
so.
clean. The new leather collection at Ashley is built with the
I wish
durability
it
you
were.
need for the whole family. Yes, pets too. Luxury is meant to be livable. Shop chairs starting at $499.99 and sofas at $599.99. Ashley,
It's
for
at
the
one of
love
two,
of home.
which is the worst part. Can I pause it? There we go.
No. Yeah, I was just thinking like I could probably give you like a drive. Wait, let me see. 'Cause
Okay.
I don't know if I have.
It's all good. We could live through an ad. I think it'll probably only do one more, and then it'll probably let us play the other songs. Here, let me. I think if I mute it, let it play out. But oh man, that was a really cool opening track. I think I see where like the experimental part comes in with the experimental jazz, with the way that it like cut out in the second half of that track and just became like that bass line. Really, really giving the bass the spotlight there at the end was a really cool touch.
Yeah, I didn't know whether or not I wanted to keep that in, but I ultimately decided to go about it because the biggest influence in for this album was probably I'd say 90% of the influence was John Coltrane's A Love
Mhm.
Supreme.
Okay.
And there's this really long bass solo by I think his name was Jimmy Garrison at the end of Pursuance. I was
Hmm.
like, that is so fucking bold to just have a bass solo with
Right.
nothing else going on.
Uh, they could get away with that back in the day when people weren't listening on cell phones, like
Yeah.
but no, I mean, as headphone music, it works really well. Um,
Yeah.
I really like the start of the song too. I liked how when it like passed between instruments, like it started with like that great guitar part, had like those great guitar licks in there, and then transferred over to the piano, and then when it transferred over to the bass, it just like cut everything else out. It was like all of the lights on the stage turned off except for that one instrument. So it was really striking as like a song in like sort of three pieces.
Yeah. The so the funny thing about this track is that it only comprises of two chords.
Say it again.
So this track only has two chords to it,
Oh,
which
okay.
are actually in separate keys. So the first four measures are in D flat major,
Hmm.
while the next four are in D major, and it just kind of repeats that over and over again. So the hardest part about this was trying to keep track of like when the key changed and
Gotcha.
just keep track of like where I was in the solo.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, this is stuff that like goes way over my head. I'm not a music theory kind of guy, but like the feel of the song was like it didn't feel like there were, you know, uncertainties with the chord progressions. You know, it felt very like comfortable from my perspective. So you pulled that part off great. That's what I
Thank
can
you.
say from a from a music theory standpoint. Um, but yeah, no, great stuff. Um, so now we're on to track number two, Tacoma Wept. Oop, whoops. Hang on, I had the volume super low because of the ad. That time your speakers weren't working or were working properly, Kit. was a beautiful track. Um, I liked the it was sort of like mirrored. There are two separate parts of the song where it like became sort of alien and otherworldly, and then it cut out to just that like lonesome piano. Sort of similarly to how the first track cut out to the bass line, but this one had like that. It's sort of like a two separate instances of bringing that piano in. It's like very striking, and yeah, I really like the composition of it. Oh, I'm sorry, that was my fault. I had your volume down. My mistake.
Oh, okay.
Keep going. Sorry.
Oh, what was the last thing that you heard?
um, I think we were talking about the length of the song. If you could talk about the you were considering the metered out or meterless outro, I think.
Yeah. I decided against that, and I decided to just go with the piano outro because I felt like it was a lot more impactful for one, and for
Mm-hmm.
two, I don't like things to just overstay its welcome.
Mm-hmm.
And
Definitely.
if I kept that last intro, this album would have been longer, but it's fine where it is now.
Yeah, no, I think I like the pacing of this song a lot. It felt very deliberate, and like especially that like that section at the end. It felt like it was ending the story of the song. It felt like it ended at a really great point. Yeah, I could see it going on for like a little bit farther maybe, but I think where you called it there was it was a good stopping point.
Thank you. This song in particular, I don't know, a lot of people might probably know this, but is mainly influenced by, I believe, the first recording of Strange Fruit, which is by Billie Holiday. So if you want to check that out.
That was Strange Fruit.
Yeah.
That's a great track. Yeah, yeah. Um,
And I think this is actually the first song that yeah, it is. This is the first song that I've ever made, which is in 5/4.
It's a 5/4. Oh, nice. I didn't notice. But yeah, that's it's great. The the guitar part in this was really good too. Like when that came in and sort of like the after the piano bit, I think that it sounded amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. We got some 5/4 hype. All right, on to track number 3. Meduse? Medose?
Yeah, Meduse.
Meduse. Okay.
It's summer at the Home Depot, and that means it's time to kick off the
Never
season of
mind.
outdoor doing. Whether you're planting in ground or in containers, we have your planting
This
is
season
just
covered
part of
with
the-
savings on
this is
soil.
part of the-
Yeah,
and
yeah,
potting
yeah.
mix. Give your plants
That's what
the
makes it
nourishment they
experimental,
need with the
right?
continuous food release of Miracle Grow 0.75 cubic foot garden soil on
I think it's
special
only one
buy
ad this
for
time.
$10. And give all your container plants the foundation they need with Miracle Grow 25 quart potting mix on special buy 2 for $16. Get summer savings happening now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Honestly, that thing goes hard.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was your thought process with that one? I think the narration was really good. Can you imagine doing like experimental jazz album and just like putting ads in the middle of it, like as an artistic statement? Man. Anyways, onto the actual track here. don't think that's part of the album, but that was
It went hard down.
that was such a lovely ending. I feel like
Thank you.
it was such a nice little like journey that I went on between those three tracks. Um, definitely like between the first one, sort of feeling like more traditional jazz in a sense, where it had like that like long bass line in there. The second track having like more experimental and like production elements, and then this last track having that like just great chill vibe to it, and like ending on a nice peaceful note. It was like a really nice journey between the three.
This one, I mean, not really much is going on technically, so, but I can tell you that this was mainly inspired by Blue and Green. Especially, there are several recordings of it, but especially the one that's off of Kind of Blue by Miles Davis.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. It feels like a lot of the music, like these three tracks, each had their own sort of source inspiration going into it. Did you have like certain songs in mind? Like, I want this to be in this sort of like project that I'm working on? Or did it just sort of like spur of the moment, or like retrospectively, you realize that it was like the inspiration?
Going into it's mainly like I had a couple songs in mind, and some of the songs, especially some of like the melodies at the beginning of either Fix Your Face or Tacoma Wept, I had little inspirations in terms of the melody, but I generally, with those songs in mind, I wanted to just capture how either they sounded or how they made me feel, as opposed to just like copying and pasting.
Right. Yeah, they're much more spiritual inspirations rather than line by line, bar for bar sort of things. Absolutely. Awesome.
Yeah.
I do want to talk like a little bit